has begun vaccinating the over-60s after receiving more than 800,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine over the weekend. Catalan pro-independence party Esquerra Republicana de Catalunya celebrates after leading the pro-accession bloc to boost their parliamentary majority in a regional election. And leaders of France and 6 African countries began a 2-day summit on Monday on the G5 Sahel anti-terrorism operations, as well as additional challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Hello and welcome to teleSUR English. I am Estefania Bravo from the headquarters of Quito in Ecuador. This is from the south. Mexico has begun vaccinating adults over 60 years of age against COVID-19. This stage of the country's immunization plan began after the arrival of more than 800,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine over the weekend. The government reported delays in administering the shots in the northern part of the country due to bad weather that caused power outages. Authorities estimate that by mid-April, around 16 million elderly people will have been vaccinated against the novel coronavirus. The Peruvian government extended the total lockdown in the 32 provinces of the country that are at the highest risk due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Authorities extended the quarantine for 14 days in order to curb the spread of the virus. During the implementation of the lockdown, authorities will assess the situation and the infection rate in order to decide on whether or not to implement a further extension. The order will be enforced in the cities of Lima and Callao, among other cities, and includes a curfew from 6 in the evening until 6 in the morning. Colombian President Iván Duque announced that the first 50,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine developed by the U.S. pharmaceutical company Pfizer would arrive in the country this Monday. The president informed that with the first batch of the doses, the national vaccination plan will start with health workers. This will be the first shipment of the 1.6 million vaccines that Colombia will receive in the next 3 weeks. Duque said the vaccination plan against COVID-19 includes the purchase of 10 million doses of the Pfizer vaccine, as many from AstraZeneca and Moderna, 9 million from Janssen, 2.5 million sent from the Chinese firm Sinovac, and 20 million through the World Health Organization's COVAX initiative. And the World Health Organization gave emergency use approval to AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccines on Monday, allowing distribution to some of the world's poorest countries to begin.
Today, WHO gave emergency use listing to 2 versions of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, giving the green light for these vaccines to be rolled out globally through COVAX. One of the vaccines is produced by SK Bio in the Republic of Korea, and the other is produced by the Serum Institute of India.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said on Monday he hoped that more than 2 million people in the country would be vaccinated against the coronavirus by the start of April, after Hungary became the first nation in the European Union to approve a vaccine developed in China.
We cannot stop the virus without vaccines, because it will always come back in new and new waves. Therefore, today our country's most important task is getting as many vaccines as possible. Not then, as promised by Brussels, but quickly. That's why we bought the Russian and Chinese vaccines in addition to the ones arriving from the West. According to the agreement with Russia, enough vaccines will be delivered to Hungary to vaccinate 1 million people within 3 months. We have also managed to reach an agreement on Chinese vaccines. We bought enough vaccine from Sinopharm to vaccinate 2.5 million people. This means that there are already 5 effective and safe vaccines licensed in Hungary, which is the key to start mass vaccination.
On Monday, Romania started deploying the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine. The vaccines were distributed to 180 vaccination centers around the country. 200,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine will be administered. So far, the nation has received 1.1 million COVID-19 vaccine doses. About 700,000 people in the country have been vaccinated with one vaccine dose and more than 400,000 with 2 doses. Romania ranks third in the European Union for doses administered per 100 inhabitants.
First of all, I came to take the vaccine because this is normal from my point of view, although there are mixed opinions on this, even in my own family. But I want us to get rid as fast as possible of this isolation and get our life back on track. There are several studies about the AstraZeneca vaccine. Some show it is a little less efficient maybe. On the other hand, the studies are ongoing, so we can't really say the things are indeed like this. Also, this vaccine is made using the classical method, without modifying the RNA, which some fear has unknown reactions.
On Monday, the first coronavirus vaccines arrived in Zimbabwe as an Air Zimbabwe jet carrying 200,000 doses from China. It is one of China's first shipments of vaccines to Africa after deliveries to Egypt and the Equatorial Guinea. The first Sinopharm vaccines are a donation from China to the southern African country. President Emerson Mnangagwa's government has purchased an additional 600,000 doses of the Sinopharm vaccine that are expected to arrive early next month. According to a government rollout plan, Zimbabwe's health professionals and immigration agents working at the border posts will get their first priority for the vaccine. Zimbabwean Vice President Constantino Chiwenga was at the Harare airport for the arrival of the vaccines.
Zimbabwe is one of the first countries to receive the vaccine donation from China. That's because China and Zimbabwe enjoy the time-honored friendship. But Zimbabwe is our brother. So the assistance of vaccine and the supply of vaccine to Zimbabwe is not a problem.
It has not been lost on us that in time of need, China's response has been swift, resulting in this donation being the first vaccine to reach our country. This is yet another demonstration of the long-standing bonds of friendship and solidarity between our two countries.
South African schools reopened after authorities pushed back the start of the 2021 school year by a few weeks to lower coronavirus infections. Education experts have already warned that the delayed school calendar in combination with lost teaching time in 2020 is likely to have a significant impact on South African students. The Department of Education's Director General said that younger students are particularly at risk of forgetting skills and knowledge acquired at school if they stop learning for extended periods of time. Some parents have expressed concern about the pandemic, while children in townships like Alexandra face additional challenges such as overcrowding and lack of access to resources and support.
I am happy for him, although I have concerns because of we are in this pandemic. Like I have that questions that is he going to be safe or what? But then I just have to trust the system that they will take care of our children.
If this COVID thing continues, they will have a challenge because they didn't learn much previous year, and I think even now they will come like after a day or two. So there is a lot that they are missing out.
Parents do at home. Most of our parents here don't have cell phones, technology, the one that we can use. They're poor. They're poor. So they don't get help at home. And so it's upon us to make sure that we take over the things that are supposed to be done by parents by educator assistants.
Catalan pro-independence party Esquerra Republicana de Catalunya celebrated after leading the pro-accession bloc to boost their parliamentary majority in a regional election. The three parties who promote independence from Madrid are set to get 74 seats in the 135-seat assembly, with the Esquerra Republicana getting 33 seats, the Juntas per Catalunya getting 32, and the Candidatura de Unitat Popular 9 seats.
Catalunya més avui ha fet història. Per primera vegada,
Catalonia has made history today. For the first time, independence exceeds 50% of the vote, and this means that this country is beginning a new stage. We have an immense power to achieve amnesty and self-determination, to achieve the freedom of political prisoners and the return of exiles. We have immense power to get the referendum, to get the Catalan Republic.
I would like to send a message to European authorities. The results are clear. We, the pro-independence parties, have a majority. We have reached more than 50% of the popular vote. The Catalan people have spoken. The time has come to negotiate a referendum of self-determination. Please get involved.
In Egypt, officials said on Monday that an apartment building partly collapsed in the nation's capital, killing at least 3 people. Officials added that rescue workers in Cairo were looking for any survivors trapped under the rubble of the 3-story building after the overnight partial collapse in the Round El Farag neighborhood. They retrieved an injured child who was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. The 3 dead are from one family. Police forces cordoned off the area. It was not immediately clear what caused the building to partly collapse. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, President Felix Tshisekedi named Jean-Michel Sama head of the state mining giant Gécamines, while Prime Minister is a prolonged tussle for power with allies of his predecessor.
The necessity and urgency. By order, Article 1, Mr. Jean-Michel Sama Lukonde Kyenge is appointed Prime Minister, head of government.
And also, the Syrian army's air defense units repelled early Monday morning an Israeli airstrike in the suburbs of Damascus. According to a military source, the attack was carried out at exactly 1:18 a.m. with rocket volleys from the occupied Syrian Golan and Al-Jalil, targeting some targets in the vicinity of the city. The source added that the country's air defense managed to shoot down most of the Israeli missiles. Local news agency Sana confirmed that sounds of explosions were heard in the sky over the western countryside of the capital, and that the Syrian air defenses were facing the Israeli aggression. On Monday, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan accused the U.S. of supporting Kurdish militants days after Turkish troops found the bodies of 13 Turkish soldiers, police, and civilians abducted by Kurdish insurgents in a cave complex in northern Iraq.
Did the United States not say they don't take the side of terrorists? Did you not say you don't support the PKK, the YPG, or the PYD? You are with them and behind them, pure and simple. If we are together in NATO, and if we are to continue our alliance in NATO, you have to be sincere toward us. You must not take the side of the terrorists. You have to be on our side. Neither Kandil, nor Sinjar, nor Syria. As of now, no place where the terrorists are located is safe for them. We have the power, capability, and determination to come down hard on the terrorists everywhere.
On Monday, Iran's foreign ministry criticized U.S. President Joe Biden for keeping sanctions against Iran that were imposed by former President Donald Trump.
The United States has not changed from the Trump era regarding the imposition of sanctions, and this could be a matter of shame for those who founded their election campaign on distancing themselves from the Trump administration's bullying policies. Next week, and on a day that the Iranian Atomic Energy Agency will determine after technical considerations, the government is obligated by the Parliament to stop voluntary implementation of the additional protocol if the other parties have not fulfilled their commitments until that day. Cooperation between Iran and the International Atomic Energy Agency will continue. The Islamic Republic of Iran will definitely send a letter to the agency and inform them about the details, just like before. Everyone should note that all these actions by Iran are reversible. They are easily reversible, on the condition that other parties implement their commitments.
In the United States, a winter storm dropping snow and ice sent temperatures plunging across the southern plains, prompting a power emergency in Texas a day after conditions canceled flights and impacted traffic across large parts of the country. Rotating power outages were initiated by the Electric Reliability Council of Texas early Monday morning, meaning thousands went without electricity for short periods of temperatures fell also near Dallas and around Houston to about -5 degrees. The council described the rotating outages as a last resort to preserve the reliability of the electric system, adding that utility transmission companies are tasked with determining to reduce demand on the system. And on Monday, the Mexican Federal Electricity Commission attributed the blackout that affected several northern states of the country to suspend a natural gas supply from Texas, the U.S., due to a drop in temperatures.
There is a blackout in Nuevo León, Coahuila, Tamaulipas, and Chihuahua. It is due to the winter storm. Because of the bad weather, the technicians of the Federal Commission of Electricity are already working, and we will be informing in the course of the day so that the services are restored. It is reported that 400,000 users are affected.
And according to Mexico's Federal Electricity Mission, providing an update on the power outage across the north of the country this Monday, over 4.7 million users in 6 states were affected. The states of Nuevo León and Chihuahua were the most impacted by the blackout, with 96% and 86% of users left without electric service, respectively. The commission reported that the service has already been 65% restored, representing over 3.8 million users. In Ecuador, the Union for Hope Coalition's presidential candidate Andrés Arauz reiterated his rejection of the smear campaign against him by international media. Arauz has stressed that the misinformation campaign against him is supported by the government of President Lenín Moreno. The Union for Hope candidate said the move intends to prevent his participation in the second round of the presidential election scheduled for April 11th. He denied the accusations, attempting to associate him with the Colombian National Liberation Army guerrilla. The wake of former Argentine President Carlos Menems, who passed away on Sunday, concluded at the National Congress this Monday, and his body was taken to the Islamic cemetery of San Justo for burial. The public access to view the former president's casket was extended until 3 p.m. local time. Vice President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner accompanied Menem's family and friends. A military band was sent to honor him at the cemetery. The government declared 3 days of national mourning following the death of the former head of state. Leaders of the sub-Saharan countries and France gathered in Chad on Monday for the opening of the 2-day G5 Sahel summit. The group comprises of Burkina Faso, Chad, Mauritania, Mali, Niger, and Mali. Meeting in Chad's capital, N'Djamena, the summit leaders aim to focus their talks on the war against terrorism. They were also set to discuss ways of combating the coronavirus pandemic and boosting the region's economy. The summit was opened by President Idriss Déby Itno of Chad, the incoming holder of the group's rotating presidency. French President Emmanuel Macron took part via video conference from Paris.
As we all know, the success of the fight against terrorism is strongly linked to the development actions. Misery and precariousness feed the breeding ground for terrorism and violent radicalism. This pandemic has strongly compromised the immense sacrifice made in the field of security and development in our Sahelian space. This is why we must transcend ourselves to conjure up the evils, overcome the problems that beset us. The population of the Sahel that live every day under the threat of war and terrorist attack expect from all of us pragmatic actions to improve the security situation on the ground.
In Kosovo, Albin Kurdi's ultra-nationalist left-wing Vetendonse movement, SelfDetermination in English, won Sunday's parliamentary elections with 48.1% of the votes. Kurdi, who is on parole for using a tear gas canister in parliament in 2015, was unable to run for the elections. The politician said the vote was a referendum for justice, employment, and against corruption. He also added that negotiations to normalize relations between Pristina and Belgrade would be the 5th or 6th priority. According to forecast, Self-Determination platform will have 55 of the 120 seats in the Legislative Assembly. The Democratic Party of Kosovo came in second with 17.35% of the votes. PDK leaders, former President Hashim Tasi and former Parliamentary leader Kadri Veseli, stand accused of war crimes by the Hague-based Special Tribunal for Kosovo.
The election is a referendum on justice and employment and against corruption and state capture. It is something unprecedented in post-war Kosovo. This great victory is an opportunity to start the changes we want. A lot of work is waiting for us as the country is in multiple crises. The road ahead is long. We will have many obstacles.
And demonstrators in Myanmar on Monday sat in protest behind a police barricade on a road leading to the headquarters of the political party led by deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Protesters continue to gather across the country following a night in which authorities cut the country's internet access and increased the security presence in major cities, seeking to curtail demonstrations against this month's military takeover. Despite not being able to reach the National League for Democracy Party building in Yangon, demonstrators were not deterred and continued chanting slogans and waving banners behind the blockade demanding the release of Suu Kyi and the return of the government they say they elected. And in Myanmar's capital, protesters gathered outside a police station demanding the release of a group of high school students who were detained while joining in protest activities. A line of riot police backed by water cannons drew up nearby.
After the girls from our group left, the police surrounded us and tried to arrest us. We asked them to let us go, but they arrested 2-3 protesters, and all of us decided to go with them.
And with that story, we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also be sure to follow me on my Twitter account at @ibravotelesur for more. Thank you for watching.